What are you going to be smoking today? That's the important question there.
Yes. So my it's been an interesting week. I've spoke to a lot of different people from a lot of different sectors of the cigar world. Now, I'm a little nervous to admit that my humidor is 98% Cuban, um,
Oh, okay, okay.
and
It's not bad, is it?
it's not. But I'm really somewhat of a novice when it comes to New World, which I'm a little ashamed to admit because there's been some fantastic people, some fantastic cigars. I've met a lot of great people from all sorts of different cigar houses, I suppose. And I really do need to make an effort to try some more. But um, today I have a Monte Cristo Especial number two,
Very nice. You can't go wrong with
which
that.
I've never smoked one of these before.
Okay.
Um, I was on a trip recently in Switzerland, and I went to La Casa del Habano Basso up in the north of Switzerland, and I just picked up a couple of steaks just for the trip. And this was sat looking at me, and I say I haven't tried many New Worlds. I've actually recently been obsessing over the EGM Encanto.
See, I
Um,
haven't tried the EGMs, but I've heard really good things.
yeah, I've been looking at it for such a long time and thinking I really, really, really want it to live up to my expectations as a particularly Cuban cigar smoker. And my God, did it! It was a fantastic cigar, the Encanto, and I actually had the chance to try one from a jar as well. They've released some jars of
Oh
50.
yeah, I've seen those.
And there's a shop on Primrose Hill in London called Cigars, and he's got a couple of jars, and you can actually go in and buy a single from the jar as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Um, and they're another level. So I saw this; it looks very similar. It's got a nice pigtail cap, and I thought, wow, I'm enjoying. I know they're not quite in fashion anymore, but these sort of slimmer Vitolas are
Yeah,
really doing it for me at the minute. So
I was gonna say that I feel like the Lancero is sort of coming back in its stride. To be honest,
mm, I hope so. I hope so.
I do like a Lancero, but
Uh,
I'm a bit of a I like a thick cigar. I like a wide ring gauge.
yep,
Um,
yep,
but I've been mixing up like you as well. I tried some of the Ashtons not too long ago, and they were more of a Lancero size, and they
yep.
were phenomenal to be fair. But one thing I'm doing today that I don't usually do is I'm going for a punch cup. And very
Okay,
rare that I go for a punch cup. But a friend gave me the punch cup bracelet, so I was like, I got to
okay.
use it a bit.
Nice, nice. What are you smoking?
So it's a Semen Biltre Andulo. So this is one I get through Toro Poro. They're exclusive to them
Okay.
in the UK.
Yeah.
And they've been phenomenal cigars. So the
Nice.
Anduro, not too sure if you're aware of the Anduro um, fermentation process.
No, no, I'm not.
I'll have to go through it with you another time because it will take me a long time to explain.
Yeah, I mean, I've been
um,
seeing a lot of the stuff about the Toro Puro cigars. I really do want to get my hands on some and try
yeah,
some.
I
So,
mean, to be fair, there's a few Cubans on there, but if you're definitely looking into some new worlds,
mm,
the Simon Beltre, I always say Simon, it's Simon. Simon Beltre, they've got some really good sticks to be fair, and it's just something different, which I really like.
nice. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been smoking all of those recently. So what kind of cuts do you tend to go with?
Uh, do you know, I frustratingly have just had my normal fault of just cracking the end of the cigar here. So I went for just a straight guillotine cut, just with a Le Tag. It's kind of my go-to cutter. But I normally, I don't know why I didn't do it just now. I'm a fan of just sort of skimming around the cap and popping the
Yeah.
cap off the top rather than a straight cut because I find that is the best way to not damage a cigar. But maybe I just need to sharpen some of my cutters. But
Yeah,
um,
because I've recently been given one of the knives they've got,
yeah, I use the knife
and
that way as well, just slice
yeah,
around
I'm
the
the
top.
same. Yeah, it's one of those like once you get the technique down, it's great. But if you
Yeah,
don't know the technique, is a
yeah.
it
It's
can be
the
really
it's
disappointing if you crack
Alex.
it.
Yeah, Alex Cigar Dandy. His no cap thing on Instagram. That's there's the inspiration there. So
Yes, yeah. So yeah, obviously we it's weird because we met in person before Instagram, which is
yeah.
kind of weird for this industry, I suppose, because I meet a lot of people on Instagram, I meet them in person, but we sort of had a run in at Ignite at the
Mm.
Trident stand. I think you were on some business. But no, like we haven't really properly spoken until you launched this Save Cigars campaign, which we're going to get into a lot now. But it's really good to see. But yeah, we've spoken briefly about it. Was it yesterday or the day before? Just
Yeah, a
over the
couple of days
phone,
ago.
and I had to get you on it. I wanted to get you
Mm.
on the podcast to really talk about it because I think it's doing a lot of good, and to get the community together in the way you have is a challenge, and you've done phenomenal.
Yeah, it's a topic that I mean, I saw it for the first time when we were at Ignite, and there was this thing that sort of spurred this on for me. There was a conference that was run by Tatiana from the AITS, and they are one of the only groups of people that's so far that I've seen actually tried to push this and start a campaign. And so they had the Use Your Voice campaign, or have the Use Your Voice campaign, which was the inspiration for everything I'm doing here as well. And Tatiana did this presentation. And that's what sort of inspired this whole thing. Was in the room there were some of the powerhouses, the titans of the cigar industry in London. So I've got Mitchell Orchant sat to one side of me, I've got AJ Patel sat to the other side of me from number 6 Cavendish, and for the first time I'd heard these guys both saying the same thing. They were both going, yeah, look, we'll work together to fight this thing. And there were people sort of pledging money if money was required to for legal fees and things. And so that was the moment for me where I first saw all of these different corners of the industry come together. Now, but I must caveat: I talk about this as if I know the industry. I must stress I'm more of a consumer than anything else, and I have had the opportunity over the years to meet and enjoy cigars with all of these guys as well. So I know some of them, but my industry knowledge is still growing, I should say. So.
But I think that shows your passion towards this because obviously the people who are going to lose out to this bill is coming up. We'll talk a lot more about this now. But the people who are going to be losing out, obviously as consumers, yes, we won't be able to smoke them, but as someone in the industry, you're losing your livelihood,
Mm.
which is really tough. But yeah, we'll go back into talking about what sort of campaign it is, what you're doing there with Save Cigars.
Yeah, so I guess go from the top really. There is, and I know you know about this, but for the sake of anybody who's watching or listening, I suppose. So the government have a bill called the Tobacco and Vapes Bill, which at the moment is going through the House of Lords. It's going through the parliamentary process, and I'll talk a bit more in a minute about the whole process because there's perhaps some people out there who don't know the intricacies of it. And again, until a couple of weeks ago, I didn't know all the intricacies of it, and I've been learning a lot as I've taken on this sort of campaign. So this bill is incredibly broad, and it's been debated since mid 2024. And among many other names, it's being called the generational smoking ban. But it's 190 pages of bill, and it really, if I were to try and pick some of the key things that it's doing, they're trying to stop anybody who was born after January 1st, 2009 from ever being able to buy tobacco. So it essentially, for each year that we go on, is 1 year closer to the end date of tobacco in the UK. Essentially, it will die out with the last generation. The purpose of the bill was really to stop young people getting into smoking, and that's why it's tobacco and vapes. It's focused really on cigarettes and vapes. But what's happened is everything has been swept into that same pile, and so things like changes to packaging, so putting plain packaging on stuff, parts about closing sampling lounges and anywhere where people have to work in an environment with smoke in it. These are all covered in the bill. So it really is an end to any tobacco-related product as we know it. You could argue some of that not such a bad thing, but particularly for things like cigars and pipes, it's simply not evidence-based and damaging to people's freedoms, to liberties, and to industries.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak on that to the sense I've smoked cigarettes, I've smoked vapes, I smoked cigars and pipes. With the cigarettes, it was hard to get off of it. With the vapes, I found it way hard to get off of that. And they were really damaging my health. And cigars and pipes, yes, you can say nicotine is addictive and tobacco is addictive, but I can smoke a cigar now,
Mm,
and I could not smoke another one for a week or two. I do tend to smoke more because I enjoy it, and also you got the whole social media side of things,
mm,
and I tend to smoke maybe one, two, three a week. Not a ridiculous amount. But with cigarettes, you put that one out after 2 minutes of toking it, and you want another one. A lot of people just chain them, especially if they're on breaks. With cigars, you're never gonna get like if you've got a 10-minute break, you're not gonna go, "Oh, I'm gonna light up a cigar."
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you've got a 2 pound teller, maybe you will. Or if you've got a long break, happy days. But I think
Yes,
lumping them into the same category is as a cigar smoker, we could see it as it's not black and white. Like they
yeah.
shouldn't be linked the same thing. What do you think the main issue with the people who don't smoke cigars? What they're seeing as a negative towards the cigars?
I think for people who don't smoke cigars, it would appear the same as a cigarette. It would appear to be something that's just another form of tobacco, because I suppose until I started smoking cigars, I may have thought the same, because you simply don't know. But much like you, I never smoked cigarettes or vapes, and the occasional time I've tried a cigarette has been instant regret, because I cannot stand them. But I absolutely took a liking to cigars. But same as you, particularly during winter, I can go for it could be a month before I smoke a cigar, or in the summer I might smoke 3, 4 in a day. It's completely different. But the addiction point is not there. But to people who don't know cigars or smoke cigars, probably don't appreciate that. So I can see why some people may consider them all as one. But there's the thing that I've kind of discovered over the past couple of weeks, and the thing that's really now starting to bother me a little bit with where this has all gone, is I was looking at one of the earlier parliamentary debates when this was in Commons, and it was while the Conservatives were still in power, before Labour were in. And there was a debate across the benches, and Wes Streeting, who's the now health Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, was debating with the Conservatives across from him about only including cigarettes in the bill. And the Conservative retort was, well, if you're going to include cigarettes, why aren't you including vapes? And Wes Streeting's response was, unless I've got the evidence-based information to tell me to include vapes, why would I ban something that people like? So what I'm trying to unpick now is where that all snowballed to the position we're in today, where everything is proposed to be part of this bill, and there isn't an evidence basis for it, because already there are many peers who've stood up in the House of Lords and put statistics out there, like the impact assessment that the bill is based upon was a 294-page document. And in that 294-page document, cigars are mentioned 3 times. 3 times. That's how much of, and they're actually mentioned in points that are insignificant. They're lumped in again with other stuff. So it's like the consideration to include cigars, I can't find any evidence. In fact, the ONS stopped reporting statistics on cigars in 2018 because there was not enough data, because so few people do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, I'm trying to understand how it snowballed from where it was there in 2024 to where it is now. And do this with a fact-based, evidence-based approach as I start to approach people in Parliament.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like as a sort of outsider, I don't really get involved in politics, and all these things until it, obviously this kind of affects me, so I've got to do a bit of research into it. But the one thing I find really bizarre is like with the sort of secondhand smoke side of things, and it could damage other people's health. Fair enough, but why then try to ban smoking lounges? Because if you don't smoke, you're not gonna go in there.
Yeah, the lounge part that's a tricky one, because obviously I want to save the lounges, and there was a lord who stood up and spoke about this, and Steve, London Cigar Smoker, has shared this video on his Instagram a few times about this particular lord who was wanting to close the loophole, he called it, into lounges. And his sort of reference points were that people are serving food and drink in the lounges, which was not part of the clause. Now, I can't say I've seen that in the lounges I've been in. I've seen that people could take a drink into a lounge, but so there's some technicalities, and perhaps the people who are running lounges do need to check themselves that we are in line with the rules. But one of the bigger points was about the people who work in lounges, and saying that we're subjecting these people to working in conditions that are smoke-based. Now, that person has clearly never been into a smoking lounge, because if you go to any lounge in London or anywhere in the country, the people working in them are the most passionate people about cigars you'll find in this country. They are working there, they're becoming masters in Habanos, they're becoming cigar sommeliers. You know, there is nobody working in these lounges that does not want to be there. So I struggle to follow his line with that.
Obviously, if you're going to be working somewhere like a smoking lounge, you're either not going to have an issue with being around the smoke, or you're a genuine enthusiast. So here
Yeah,
we
a
are.
lot of these guys have come. A lot of them have come from Cuba, or a lot of. I've seen a lot of people who are from other European countries, English nationalities. It's the same, I would say, as mixologists. I've met a lot of cocktail mixologists in London who have travelled from around the world to work in the best bars in the best city. They all want to work in the top bars in London and become the top mixologists. It's the same for the people working in the cigar lounges. They've come from all over the world into these very coveted roles. You know, you try and get yourself a job in one of these top London lounges. They're not just open for everybody. You know, so I disagree entirely with the argument that the people working in them do not want to be there, even in the hotels, because the hotels, you know, are, I suppose, slightly larger. They may be chain hotels and things, but even those lounges are still coveted things. So, yeah, I think, again, the sampling rule was set up for specialist tobacconists on purpose. It's for a particular audience. It's certainly not attracting young people to go and start smoking. You know, if you consider the average price to go and sit in a lounge is probably £100. Yeah, again, I don't know why this has been included in the bill.
Yeah, I mean, from my experience as well, the thing that influences a younger, sort of maybe a teenager, to smoke a cigar would be your movies and films, not the
Mm-hmm.
fact that they exist. If you see, you know, like a Tony Soprano or something, well, you know, if you, and the thing is, they don't really make those films anymore. It's the kind of, you get the odd one here and there, but it's not like the Godfather days where everyone saw someone with a cigar and it was like, oh, that's really cool. That's kind of gone.
Yes.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Nobody's smoking in bed.
yeah, so obviously with your campaign, you've launched a website, and I've got to say, it has been a lifesaver because we, like we were talking about before, there was the use your voice campaign.
Yes.
I saw it everywhere, but I never used it. And then when I saw yours, and it was literally, you can type in your details, put your postcode in. Okay, this is your MP. Here's a pre-written letter to send to your MP. That then gets your details put on. And like I
Yep.
said to you when we were off air, the one thing I really respect is the fact that you are not keeping any data at all. You're not going out giving the data to other people in the industry. You're just wiping the data. Here's your letter to the MP. To that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, that was a really important thing for me. I mean, the campaign by the AITS, I have nothing but praise for that, because, like I say, I didn't see anyone else doing this, and the amount of people that have sent me messages in the past week and said, "Thank you for doing this. I only wish I'd done something sooner," and so yeah, what the AITS did was fantastic. They really, I wouldn't have had this idea without what they've done, but equally, you know, I saw that website, I saw it, somebody shared it on Instagram, I clicked on it, and even I didn't follow through with it because it required you to download something, fill something in, and I'm not trying to knock that campaign at all, but all I saw there was an opportunity to bring it into the 21st century, digitize it, and you know, I'm no developer. What I've built is largely AI based. Thankfully, I have a little bit of time to play with AI in my day job, and so it took me about 4 or 5 hours to build the website, pretty quick. But yeah, big premise for me was that I did not want to capture any data of the user, because this isn't a commercial venture. I'm not going to try and sell people cigars after they've sent the email. I'm not going to give any data to anybody. It also makes my life easy from a GDPR perspective, from a compliance perspective, right? So I have to consider that when I set a website like this up. Am I compliant with UK legislation as well, especially when we're entering the world of politics? It'll be something easy for somebody to pick up on. So yeah, I just wanted to make it quick. Even the fact it opens in your emails rather than sending it from the platform, it's from you. It's between you and your MP at that point. I'm just giving you a tool to within 30 seconds generate the letter and find the right person to send it to. So I've tried to keep it as simple and streamlined as possible.
100%. And the fact that you can open it in your own email, then, I like that gave me
Mm.
the chance to really read through the letter that was written. And I'm no wordsmith, but I could not do it any better. So again, it just saved me the time. This is what I want to say, but you've
Mm.
put it into the email ready for me to just send to the MP. And like to be honest, it was really interesting for me because before I put my details on the website, I didn't even know who my MP was.
Mm.
I had no
Yeah.
idea.
Yeah. And there are others that'll be like that, and that's exactly why I did this, because it's not everybody is interested by politics. A lot of people are quite anti-politics, to be honest, and so I thought, how can I make this as simple as possible? And the call to action in the letter really it puts some facts and some figures in there about where we think the failings with the bill are. And I suppose one thing I've not said is really the objective of this campaign is not to stop the bill. That won't happen. Realistically, in this stage we're at now, the bill will not be stopped. But what we still have an opportunity to do is table amendments and have the bill changed. So really, the call to action in the bill points out the specifics around cigars and other pipe tobacco type products that should not be included. And the call to action is for your MP to contact Wes Streeting, who I mentioned earlier, the Secretary of State for Health, and to raise it with him. So if you do get a reply from your MP, it will likely be either, yes, I agree with you, I've raised this with Wes Streeting, or no, I don't agree with you, but I've still raised it with Wes Streeting because that's what you asked me to do and I'm your MP. So equally, people should not fear that because they've sent it, they're going to have to do something afterwards with a response. You really, it's very unlikely you'll have to take any further action once you've sent this email. So
Yeah, 100%. That's a really good point. I mean, I think, speaking for myself, I'm sure you agree as well. The bill itself isn't necessarily a bad thing. Stopping sort of the younger generation, especially you see, teenagers smoking these vapes all the time. You're getting vapes
yeah,
dropped litter everywhere. Same as cigarettes. When I was in school, the cigarettes was the rolling tobacco was the big thing for my sort of ages. You could go into a shop as a 13-year-old and get some rolling tobacco, which
yeah,
I'm completely against.
yeah,
I've gone through
yeah,
that and it's affected my life now. But like you said, as a kid, I wasn't out there trying to get some guy on the street corner to go get me a cigar or a pipe or something.
yeah. Well, yeah,
So I think it's not necessarily a bad bill in the sense of deterring younger kids or teenagers from smoking rolling
yep,
tobaccos and straight cigarettes,
yep,
vapes, things like that. But my issue with it is obviously the cigars and the pipe tobacco. There's so many like benefits for myself that I gain
yep,
from smoking cigars. The amount of people I've met just through enjoying a cigar, and I've got lifelong friends there. And these people I would never have met otherwise. A lot of it's social
yeah,
media, but you then indoctrinate into a community that has a similar interest. And if you
yep,
like cigars, you probably like this that the other person likes, and it snowballs. So the fact that you're then vilified for enjoying a cigar is crazy. And the fact that you
yeah.
can essentially be penalized. I think we were talking about the wording in the bill, um, which is crazy. Like using it as a prohibition. There's it's only ever worked in the past, isn't it? A prohibition.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you look through the current amendments that are tabled, so the the way that the review process works is that at the moment the bill is in the House of Lords, so it has to first go through the House of Commons, and it will have three readings. There's a committee stage, a report stage, but essentially at each of these readings you're able to table an amendment that goes for debate, and then they decide if that amendment will be accepted or not by the way of voting. And they go through several rounds of that. They get to a point where they're sort of ready to pass the bill on, which it got to, and then it gets passed into the House of Lords. So the Lords is not your MPs, that's peers. So it could be hereditary peers, lifetime peers. So these are people who've services to industry. These are sort of business titans, people who've served before as MPs, that sort of thing. Or there's lots of baronesses and barons and such in there. But and so they do a sort of sense check on the bill is their role. And they have the House of Lords has had a very positive effect on a lot of things in the past. The House of Lords were responsible for banning people smoking in a car with a child. So things that you would agree with. So it's currently with them. It's gone through the second stage now, and it's at the committee stage, which means it needs to go for a line-by-line read-through. And that will likely happen after the summer recess, so Parliament breaks at this moment for the summer holidays. They'll be back in September, and that's when they'll undertake this read-through in the House of Lords again. And there are about 9 pages of amendments tabled at the moment, some of them supportive of what we're trying to do here, some of them completely the opposite. But I picked out a couple of my favourite ones in there. And there were some nice supportive ones where there's people suggesting that rather than making a generational ban, for now, we simply increase the age of smoking to 21. And, that's the first step towards stopping younger people smoking, increase the age to 21. I don't think many people would disagree with that. Certainly won't affect the cigar industry. I don't think it won't affect loungers. I doubt there are many under 21s going in there and spending that money on cigars. But then there are many that are pretty damaging. So one, for example, is the wording around the punishment if you were to sell a cigar to somebody who's underage. Now, think of this in 15 years' time. You might be having to ID somebody. A 37-year-old can buy a cigar and a 36-year-old can't. Now, that's probably quite difficult for a shopkeeper to do. But the wording, if you get that wrong, is intent to supply. And where do we hear that wording now?
I was going to say, that's is literally like saying, okay, if you sell this person a cigar, you're going to be treated as if you just sold them
as
crack.
a drug dealer. It's exactly. It's wild. It's actually scary. And then there's a lot of talk of prohibition, which, as you say, find me a prohibition in history that worked and didn't cause backroom drinking bars and smuggling and black markets, and we all know that works. So I can only hope that a lot of the things that are in there are absolutely just quickly dismissed. But this is why I'm saying we still have a chance, because it's got this stage to go through now. And if the Lords make any amendments to the bill outside of what was done in Commons, it has to go back to Commons for another review there as well. So I would predict that we still have 6 to 12 months and several revision periods where there is change to be affected.
So with this bill, is there a particular party that's really pushing it, or is it sort of kind of widespread amongst the UK politics?
It's wildly cross-party, yeah. It's crazy, actually. I was quite surprised when I started really reading into this. A lot of the people defending the bill are Conservatives. You would have thought that wouldn't be the case. There are people from Labour who are not supportive of the bill. I'm going to do a post on Instagram in a couple of days on the Save Cigars account to show people which way their MP voted on the bill as well, so people
that would be really interesting, yeah,
how it went. Because I've seen some emails coming back from people's MPs saying, "Hey, I voted against this bill." So we can see who the sort of allies in the political world are. But even in the peers in the House of Lords, the majority of people using words like prohibition and trying to ban things, it's Conservatives. So it's really across both sides.
Yeah, that you would not think that. You would have thought it'd be the opposite way around, where it's sort of Labour going, no, this is very because I suppose it's not just we look at it because the cigars are our thing. Where I suppose it's the cigarettes and vapes and all that are a big part of it. But for us, because I don't use vapes and cigarettes anymore, that part doesn't bother me. Crack on, do what you want with that. It's the cigars and pipes that really affects myself and as well as you and many other people in our community. So I think it's tough to see it being lumped in the same category.
Yes, yeah, it is. It really is. And that's what I suppose prompted me to do this. I was kind of sat here thinking we're running out of time. I had the technical ability to craft something here. I had support. I had certainly building support from a few people in the industry and other consumers. And I thought, if I don't do this, who will? So that's what started the Save Cigars Instagram account and the website, and has very quickly now led into me I've got some very good bedtime reading. I'm working my way through the 190-page bill, so I can be completely informed on it. I've directly written to several lords from the House of Lords to engage with them, and I've had positive responses from 2 who are willing to meet me in September. I have spoken to the largest importers in the UK of Cuban cigars and New World cigars, who are all supportive as well, and will provide me whatever, within reason, resources to help push this thing. So it's coming from a consumer, but it's supported by everyone who's interested and involved in cigars, and I think that's absolutely the right thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree with you more, and that's why I had to get you on here, because I was like, everything you've done, I respect so much, because myself, I could sit here and be like, oh, I'll do it, but I would not do it, and I would not have
Yeah,
just the letter you've sent to the MPs. Getting that together takes a massive amount of effort, and
yeah,
the work you're putting into this, and that's the thing. Realistically, you're personally not gaining anything out of it, bar hopefully you'll be able to continue smoking cigars in the UK.
yes,
Um,
exactly.
so that's I'm so respectful of your passion towards it.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why I didn't share this from my own Instagram account. I mean, my name will no doubt be on a couple of things at some point, but
It'll be on
I
the
really
podcast.
was trying to. Yeah, yeah. But I was trying to distance myself personally from it as much as possible, and I suppose time will be a challenge for me also, and I really wanted to put the tools out there so that others could use them. So my intention was that the rest of the community would start to make reels and podcasts and videos and put it in the QR code in a store and email their customer bases, and that is exactly what is happening. So a lot of the shops have been using their mailing lists. They're putting it up in the stores. I mean, the response on Instagram has been overwhelming. You know, I don't have any real following on my personal Instagram at all, but the reels that I've posted this week have collectively amassed nearly 30,000 views. And then I've seen people repost the same reels, and they've also amassed 10 to 20,000 views each. So 100,000 people this week have nearly watched the content that I put out earlier in the week. Now, proportionately, we're almost at 1,000 people have used the website. So
Amazing.
uh, it's something. It's something. But you know, I'm at a point now where we probably need to say to people, okay, and if you've got a little WhatsApp group of guys that smoke cigars, send it to them. Or if you have a family member or an uncle who smokes a cigar, or whoever, send it to them. It's really now reaching out into the further reaches that aren't in the London Instagram bubble.
Yeah, I was going to say, because Instagram, it can only do so much, and now it's getting it into those people who don't use Instagram, or don't necessarily go on the internet that much, and but how equally have the same passion. And so yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely going to be worth getting. I'm gonna have to send it to my father-in-law. And
yeah,
so yeah,
yeah.
other than what we've mentioned, is there any other parts in the bill that you feel like need to be highlighted and people should be made aware of?
I think the packaging one is something that many people might not have seen yet. So tucked away in the bill is the move to plain packaging, and this, it might not seem like something super important to the consumer because, yeah, okay, we like the bands. I love my Monte Cristo bands and I like the boxes. But if you think about it from a production perspective, these are artisan craft houses in Cuba or in any country that's manufacturing cigars right now. If they have to start making a different box for the UK and for any other country that implements their own packaging, it will just be not effective and efficient for them to do it at their end. So what would likely happen is the cigars would be shipped to the importer in the UK, who would then have to repackage them into the UK branding before sending them on to the retailers. Now, this is all my assumptions, but what I assume to be logical. Um, that's either going to mean increased prices because they have to go
Well, they've
through
got to
that
hire more people
preparation
as well, don't
step.
they?
They've got to hire people. They've got to buy the new packaging, or decreased choice. They simply won't buy all the lines that are coming in now because they have to do the repackaging, so the choice will reduce. But if you look, I think there was a study, and I'm quoting one of the people I've seen stand up in the House of Lords about this. Uh, I believe Northern Ireland, it was Northern Republic of, but maybe Northern Ireland, this has already happened. And specialist tobacconists saw cigar sales drop from 70% to near 0% because the people went and bought them from other markets where they weren't in plain packaging. So either the UK market, Spanish market, it's very easily accessible.
I was going to say, you
So
can
yeah,
go over to Spain, you can get a fly over to Spain, there and back on the same day, get a load of cigars, and it would cost you probably less anyway.
Hmm.
So the fact that you can do that, and again, it's that prohibition word where
Yeah,
people are going to find a way to, if it's whether it's cigars, cigarettes, whatever they're enjoying, they're going to find a way to get them. Um, and would the
yeah,
UK rather the tax go into their pocket, or would you rather it go to Spain's pocket, France's pocket, whoever's pocket?
exactly.
Surely it makes sense, just because we pay a lot of tax in the UK anyway. So
Yep.
really,
Yeah,
the
and
UK government
arguably,
is going to be shooting themselves in the foot by losing that tax.
yeah, and if you look at as well, I mean, the price of one cigar can be the same price as 20 cigarettes. A price of one cigar can be the same price as 200 cigarettes. Um, you look at the tax differences from cigars being a much smaller market, they're probably still making a significant amount of tax collection from the cigar market. So again, it is a shot in the foot as well for HMRC.
Yeah, definitely. That is cool. That is wild.
Um,
That is absolutely wild.
Yeah, yeah, but the response I've had from people like yourself though has been uh, pretty overwhelming. To be honest, I had moments where I was like, "What? What do I do? I've got so many notifications on my phone. I've got so many people messaging me. I've got a couple of people I still have to reply to, and I'm thinking, I've left them hanging for a couple of days now. I've been invited to be on here with you. I've had a couple of other content creators say, "Shall we make some videos?" A couple of loungers have invited me in to go and explain to them in more detail what might be happening and what they can do to help. Um, so there's the events that are coming up. So Meet the Makers, unfortunately, as much as I desperately wanted to be there, I can't be there myself. But I know that it's going to be pushed there. I've already had it confirmed that they're going to be at the stands and in the presentations trying to get people to do this. I need to talk to the team who are doing the Summertime Festival, Brightleaf, but
Yeah,
I'm sure they're going to be okay to include this. Gauntleys of Nottingham have got a summertime smoke in a week's time, and they've just this evening said, "Yeah, we'd love you to come and do something there for us as well." So whether it's me or anyone else, doesn't have to be me. The message is the same. Uh, we just need to get this out there as much as we can. And while we have these massive events this year, let's use them.
100%. I mean, so what as a consumer or a retailer, what would you say the main thing they can do to help really is?
At the moment, the main thing to do is send a letter. So the only way we're going to get amendments tabled is if we get support from the right people in the right places. So the letters at the moment, they're actually going to MPs, which is for the House of Commons. So what that is doing is preparing us for when the bill does go back into Commons. So what we're lining up essentially supporters now, making enough noise that they go, okay, people in my constituency do care about this. They do want me to raise this. So that's sort of teeing up phase two. And at the moment, phase one, we're still in the House of Lords with the bill. And that's where I'm reaching out to certain lords, certain peers. The industry leads are also reaching out to various peers. So kind of stage one is happening over here, stage two is happening over here, and we're sort of preparing for the longer game, if you will. So yeah, for the consumer, get the letter sent. That's the main thing, and share the message.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, on the Instagram side of things, like you mentioned a few names there, like Stephen from London Cigar Smoker. He's been really pushing it, and there's been so many people that have been coming together for this, consumers and retailers, which has been really nice to see. Yes, you've got your competition, but if this goes through, there will be no competition at all.
Yep.
Everyone's business will
Yep.
be lost. So it's just so nice to see everyone just coming together and being like, "This is our passion.
Yep.
Like, let us be."
Yeah, and I actually have to say as well, one of the main one trend I've noticed is it's actually the aficionados that have probably made a lot of the most noise. It's the ladies in the cigar world who are really shouting about this at the moment as well. So massive praise to those. There's a couple of newly formed groups, and they're making a huge amount of noise with this as well and pushing this out. So big respect to the aficionados as well. But yeah, everyone that's sharing. There's even a lot of support from overseas coming in, saying, "Oh, I wish I could send a letter to my MPs, but I'll send it to the people I know in England or in the
Oh, that's
UK."
amazing. That's really good.
Yeah, yeah. So
So,
it's doing something.
with this sort of thing, have you got much experience in it beforehand? Have you done much within politics or sort of trying to get these campaigns on the go? Because you're taking it in your stride.
Yeah, no, I've done nothing at all. Never anything, nothing like it in the past whatsoever. Um, for years, I thought, maybe I'd like to dabble in that sort of world, and I've always thought no, because one thing I've come to learn just from observing is that for any politician, 50% of people will always hate you. There's no politician that everybody loves, and I certainly thought that's not a lifestyle for me. So no, I've always stayed away from getting involved until now, when it got to the point of if I don't, who will. But I'm fortunate that in my day job, when I'm not smoking cigars, I do a bit of contract writing. I understand the premise of writing these sort of letters and how these sort of processes work. So that's benefited me a bit. But otherwise, it's been a case of immersing myself in uh, in it to learn it.
That's amazing. I mean, I was saying to you that the way you talk about it, you're very well spoken. You're very good with your facts and figures, and a lot of people can sort of go off and get quite emotional with it, and
Yep.
let their opinion take over. Where you're very, these are the facts. This is why cigars aren't the same. Go with that. Which,
Yeah. Yeah.
well done for that.
Well, don't tell my fiance this, but yeah, she'd say it's emotionless. But um, but that's the way you have to be with this kind of stuff, because yeah, there's no room for people to get too angry. You definitely shouldn't be getting angry about things that you can't change. Passionate, yes, but I've also made a point on the Instagram account to reply to every single person that's sending a message or commenting. I try and reply to everyone, because some people are asking questions, some people are simply giving support. But there, as you would expect, there have been one or two people that have gone a little bit too far with what they're saying. Being very negative against Parliament, against the country, against the people that are working in those jobs. At the end of the day, it's all still people. We have to be respectful, and so I'm not engaging with any of those sort of comments, because that helps nobody. So yeah, keep it emotion free, fact based, and we go from there.
That's amazing. That's really good. So, what would you say the next sort of steps for the campaign will be now?
Um, so the next steps, we're about to hit 1,000 people. In fact, if I had my phone free, I'd check. We were at 960 something earlier, so that's a nice milestone. And if you consider that there's 650 members of Parliament in the UK, by the time we hit 1,300, we'll have averaged 2 letters to every single MP. So that bit's working. And if you imagine, if you receive 2 or 3 of the same thing in your inbox, you might start to pay attention at that point. So next steps is continue to push this the message. What I'd like to try and do, and I need to just poll this idea with a few people, is pick one day every week or every other week where we all give it a good hard push. So, if it's every Monday, everyone makes a lot of noise and shares it, because people have to still use their Instagram accounts to run their businesses for their day-to-day stuff. It's not all about Save Cigars. So I expected the momentum to tail off a little bit, but if we can do one push a week and then watch it tail off, and then another one the next week, and just keep that sort of heartbeat, uh, that's that can carry on in the background.
Yeah.
After that, I've built an action plan of steps over the next 3 months that I'll take, and that's contacting certain lords directly, certain MPs directly. That's attending events. That's reaching out to people of significance in the industry, people of significance with influence as well, who are consumers but influential. So yeah, I've drawn up a bit of an action plan. I'm going to review that with a few people who are part of it as well, and then start to take action on that. And I'll be as transparent through this entire thing as possible. I'll share that action plan. I want everyone to see what's happening so they can be part of it. But yeah, until 2 days ago, I didn't have a next steps, so it's taken me a minute to build that. I hadn't really considered what would happen after I launched the website, but given the response we've had, I can't not just pick this up and push it further now. So
No, 100%. And would you say you've had any negative backlash from people who maybe aren't cigar smokers or anything like that? Is that something you've experienced so far?
Um, Not yet, not yet. No, I think I saw one neutral comment back about it. I would say it wasn't particularly negative, but that was one comment out of the thousands that we've received. So, um, no, not yet. In fact, I've had a lot of people who I know who are not in any way cigar smokers, local to me, for example, who have all been very willing to send this thing off because they know me and they know I smoke cigars, and also with 2 minutes of explanation, they all see how ridiculous the whole situation is anyway. So no, no negativity yet. I'm sure there'll be some at some point, and lots of positivity, even from people who aren't actually part of the cigar community.
Yeah, because I think a big thing will be educating people on cigars as well, because you get the people who don't smoke cigars, and it's very much, oh, you smoke cigars, that's the equivalent of 30 cigarettes in one stick. But it's like, nicotine wise, yes, but you're not
Yeah,
taking it into your lungs, you're not absorbing all that nicotine, you're taking it in for the flavor, you're taking it in for the relaxation. I love having this podcast isn't necessarily a cigar podcast. I just love having a cigar while I talk to people. I feel like it really lets your hair down. Um, if someone doesn't want to smoke a cigar, I'm not going to smoke a cigar on them, especially in the camper van because it gets very stuffy in there.
yeah,
But I feel like if you've only just met someone, you can go to a cigar lounge, never have spoken to this person in your life, and you will have a genuinely good conversation just
mm,
because you both know that you enjoy this, and that can branch off into God knows what
yeah,
conversation then.
yep.
So I think educating people who aren't cigar smokers to understand why cigars are not the same as cigarettes and vapes will be a massive, massive thing for it as well.
Absolutely, yeah, and yeah, moving away from the campaign for a second and just coming back to the basics of why we smoke cigars. I had a guy last night. I just took my dog for a walk around the village, stopped in the pub, and I was explaining to one of the young lads who works behind the bar what I was doing with this, and he said, "Why do you smoke a cigar?" And I said, That's the right question." I said, "Imagine that you have between half an hour to an hour, and nothing else in the world can happen. No one can come and disturb you. Um, there's nothing else you're going to do. If you're walking the dog, you've got a lead in one hand and the cigar in the other. You can't get your phone out. It's that serenity and the relaxation. So aside from the fact these things taste great and they're very relaxing anyway, it's that for me. It's that seclusion from any of the other shit that happens in the world for half an hour." And he was like, "Okay, yeah, I get that. I understand." I said, "Yeah, you should, try it sometime." Um, but yeah, the same as you. I've met so many people just from these. So I don't live in London. I live in the Midlands, and I work a couple of days a month in London. And so while I was down there, I thought I'm going to stop into a lounge by myself, sat in a lounge. Someone walks past me who I thought I'd definitely seen you on Instagram somewhere or something, and he was on his own as well. I was like, "Hey, do you want to kind of pull up a chair? Do you want to chat and stuff?" Got talking, and he's part of a little group, and there's like 5 guys who smoke cigars on a Tuesday. And so I said, so they said to me, "Do you want to come join us next Tuesday?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm here. Why not?" Next thing you know, I'm part of this like Tuesday ritual, and we're all in the same lounge. That group has grown a bit. I've then met other lounge owners, other specialist tobacconists, and all of a sudden, I could go on my own now to London, or even certain places in the Midlands, Manchester as well. And there are many places I could now walk into and just pick up conversations with people that I know, haven't spoken to for a while, all because we bonded over the simple cigar. So
Yeah. I mean, for myself personally, I live in Wales. So smoking is already more strict here. We don't have lounges
mm,
here. So I can. It's almost like I can with this bill if it goes through as it is now. It's gonna be like Wales, but even worse because they're trying to also ban the sales and things like that as well. But not having lounges and we go to beer gardens, which they're also trying to ban. Um, but just
that's another thing the bill will stop is the public places. So there'll be
yeah.
a lot of places like beer gardens you won't be able to smoke anymore.
Yeah, and when I go to a beer garden, if there's quite a few people around, I'll say, "Do you mind if I smoke a cigar? Does it bother you?" 9 times out of 10, no one cares because they're smoking cigarettes anyway. And when they do, the amount of people I've spoken to at a beer garden and probably wouldn't, I would just keep myself to myself with whoever I'm with. But the cigars almost brought them into the conversation where this guy just had a rant. What are they? What are those bikes? The big front wheel called a penny.
Oh, penny farthing.
Yes, and he was like, "I've got one of these. Do you want to have a go on it? It would look really cool. Your cigar." I was like, yeah. So James from Cigar Shop, he jumped on, and it a great laugh with these guys. And the amount of people who have approached me and have said, "I haven't smelt that." Like that instantly took me back to my husband who
Yes.
passed away, my granddad who used to smoke a cigar. It's given me that really happy feeling of remembering them, or because they used to smoke cigars or pipes or whatever it may have been. So that negative sort of, oh no, I don't want you to smoke a cigar, is very, very little,
Yeah.
especially in
Yeah. Yeah. If
Wales
I,
where smoking is it's not a not accepted thing, but it's a lot more strict than England.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. If I had a pound for every person that said, "Oh, that smell reminds me of somebody," and they come up and go, "I don't like the taste of them, but I love the smell of them." Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Often.
100%. I feel like we're gonna have to have a big gathering with the Save Cigars, and we'll have a big herf somewhere, wherever is best for everyone, and everyone who's supporting this can meet up and just discuss what they think would be best and brainstorm these things. Whether
Yeah.
it's virtual or in person would be great, because
Well up for that.
getting to know people who support the exact same thing you support is definitely worth it. And again, it's getting that education of leave the emotion out of it. Let's get the facts and figures. And like yourself, you're reading through that very, very long document.
Yes. Yeah. It's not light reading, but it's like 190 pages of bullet points, often repetitive. But yeah, I think once we've got the sort of next steps in place as well, it'll be very good to sort of share that out and get other people to pick stuff up. Again, this kind of goes back to, as one person, I can only do so much. And already I feel like one person has become 1,000 with the amount of people that have shared this stuff online. But yeah, being able to sort of give some more direct, actionable things to people that they can do, that's my next objective, really.
That's amazing. And if the opportunity came, would you go and speak in the House of Lords or anything like that to get this?
100%.
That's amazing.
Absolutely, yeah. I would go and speak to the king if that would work. I
I'm
would
sure
stand
he's
in
just a
front
cigar
of,
smoker in private.
well, yeah, with that kind of gout. I mean, yeah. But yeah, no, not to offend His Majesty, but yeah, I absolutely, I would take that opportunity up if it came. I know there are a few people. So Nick, I think, who was one of your recent
Nick
podcast
from
guests,
Trident,
actually from
yeah.
Trident. Yeah, he was in there a few weeks ago. I know people from Hunters have been in there. So there are people getting invited, getting out there. And yeah, Nick is an awesome guy from Trident, so I'm glad he got the opportunity to go and do that. But yeah, equally, if I got my chance, I too would go and represent. But
that's amazing. Well, mate, thank you for everything you've done. Honestly, it's been amazing. Again, it's bringing that community together in a time of need, which is needed at the moment. So
yes,
thank you so much for everything. Is there anything
no
else you
problem.
wanted to say about the campaign?
No, thank you for allowing me to use your platform and having me on here. Like I mentioned, I don't really have one, so I'm taking anyone up that's making these offers. So I guess my final thing would just be to say to people, please continue to share the website. That's the easiest thing that people can do. If you do have a platform that we can use together, or you want to use it on your own and you just want to talk to me first and I'll give you some content, that would be great too. So yeah, anything that people think they can do to support, but they're not really sure where to go, come talk to me. And if you think I can do something to support, come talk to me. So let's just, I think a few people have woken up now to this, and we need to wake everyone else up to it as well.
100%. And what I'll do, the link's going to be in the description below. So if you want to click it, send it to whoever you need to send it to, just click it down there, and it'll take you straight to the website. And you can also find out who your MP is, because, like I said, I had no idea.
Yep.
Amazing. Philip, you're an absolute legend.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much,
Thank
mate.
you. All right, see you soon. Thank you.
Have a good one, mate.